Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a brand new league racing video. It's PSGL round 3 around Spa in Belgium. We're currently leading the championship as we head out for a first run in Q1. I will pull the standings up in a second, but we've gone on inters like usual just to do our test to see if everything is working. Wheel pedals, no further issues in that outlap. You see our standings, currently leading by 6 points to our teammate Danny Moreno and 12 points to Freddy Rasmussen, 15 points to Shanaka Clay. As you might know, point system is different in PSGL. It's 16 points for a win, 12 points for P2, 10 points for P3, 8 points for P4, etc. I don't know everything exactly. Constructors wise, also leading by 24 points to Aston Martin and 29 points to Red Bull. And then after that there's a pretty big gap to Haas, Ferrari. All those teams in the bottom don't have scored a lot of points. But yeah, only 2 rounds in, so everything can still happen. Spa is an F1 esports track, so it's good practice for us. We already did 2 social races on Spa as well. So we're getting them laps in around Spa. Currently, I'm not sure if anyone has set a lap yet. As usually everyone goes out around the 11 to 10 minute mark. And Spa is quite a long lap.
Clear. Weather is looking good for now. Dries seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
No rain forecasted for this quali session, so it should all be dry. You can see some cars piling up in the last sector. Like always, people try to get a gap in front of them to not have dirty air, or in case someone spins ahead of them, they have less of a chance to run into him or them. So gonna be interesting. On our first Q1 lap, we have to try and only do 1 lap in Q1, so we can save both this set of tires, and then also we don't have to use another new set in Q1, because only 5 people don't go through, and it will be a waste of a set of tires, which we really need in both the race and the rest of quali. Q1 lap so far going pretty well, but you can see going into this right-hander, I got a bit of understeer, almost invalidated my lap, literally millimeters away from invalidating. I backed out of the throttle just in time, because if I would have kept that throttle application going, I would have invalidated my lap. So very important that I went off my throttle there. I did not have enough fuel to go for another lap after this, so we would have wasted a set of tires if we got it invalidated. But up to the line now, it's gonna be 139.879, which
I was
puts us
like
P1
millimeters away from invalidating.
As you can hear me say there, talking to my engineer Ben Goldie, this quali session. Cedric Tomei in P1, who went out again, so he has used 2 sets of tires. I think Shanaka Clay might have used 2 as well. Not sure about the rest of the field, but we got P2, solid first lap in qualifying right there, and that is going to give us confidence for Q2. We have decided to try and get into Q3 just like last week on the mediums. And the reason for that is not because the alternate strategy is really powerful, but there's rain forecasted 30 minutes into the race. So if we make it on those mediums into Q3, we start on them, and then we might be able to stay out on the mediums until the rain comes. And that will give us a pit stop advantage over the people that qualify on the softs in this quali session. So it's going to be very, very tough to get in to Q3 on the mediums, unless a lot of other people do the exact same. Usually it's a little bit mixed, as I'm trying to get a cheeky slipstream from Tomac, but he was going too slow to really gain anything from that. Into Lecombe, 5th gear, and this corner is so tricky. You can see me correcting through the chicane there, and then the same for this exit, also tricky. Now downhill right-hander, easy to lock up the right front, so we need to be careful with that. Now short checking to 4th gear, up to 5th, and the understeer on these mediums is pretty hard to negotiate. It's always understeer and then snap oversteer on the mediums around Spa, and that makes it so hard to get it correct. Through Pouhon, pretty good line through Pouhon, got it pretty nailed up, I would say. Missed the apex a little bit on his right-hander. As I said, mediums are very tough, and also lack of practice for this, as we have our own practice schedule for F1 Esports. So we only went into this with 1 hour practice. Of course, we've already done the social races, and we've already done some preparation for those as well. So it's not like we're going into this completely blindly. We got some proper practice in a few weeks ago already. So no excuses. Into the bus stop chicane, down to 3rd gear for the first right-hander. I'm going to keep it in 2nd for the left as well, and then open the DRS for final time in this quali session. It's going to be a 1:40.785, which puts us P5.
Well, that was a disaster.
As you can even say, I'm not happy with that lap, and it's going to be a question of how many people are going for that medium run. We have fully committed to it. Luckily, we did make it through. Our teammate Danny Moreno only just goes through in 10th, and we were 3rd medium runner. But you can see there, Johnny Tormala, Cedric Tome, Sebastian Job, and Freddy Rasmussen all on the softs. So if the rain does come late, those guys are out of the race, because a pit stop distance in a 22 lap race is almost impossible to make up. But now, towards the end of my first Q3 lap, we still have 2 new sets of tires to use, and then we would still have another new set of tires for the race. So we need to go to softs eventually, unless the rain comes, of course, and we have to go to inters. But we have 3 sets of new tires still remaining. I'm going to use 2 in Q3, and then we still have 1 for the race, in case we need it. Now, final lap in Q3. We went provisional pole by over 1/10 of a second, so that gives me a lot of confidence for the final run through turn 1. Didn't really get the rotation I needed, but we went 100 up Eau Rouge. Easy flat, as you might know, in the current generation of F1 cars, and the same for Radeon. Now DRS open on Camel Straight. In the weekend, or in the real race weekend, you will see a lot of Dutch fans on the left hand side into Le Comp. Let's see if we can make up some speed there. We can take the risk. We already have a good lap in, and we've gained a good 10th through there, over 1/10, almost 1.5 tenths up as we go into the downhill right-hander. Rotation is so important through here, as I said before. Very hard to not lock up the right front. If you do lock up, you're gonna run wide. Now you can see this very interesting line here. It gains just a few thousandths of a second, but it's important to gain those few thousandths of a second. Up to the next chicane. On the medium run we run wide, but now we're not. You can see we're in the limit of the track right there. Bit of an oversteer moment on the left-hander, but we're 2.1 tenths up into the next right-hander. Short shifting to 5th gear and then up to 6th. Short line through here to gain a little bit of extra time. 2.5 tenths up, and we are on for provisional pole. Jake Benham 39.472. So he has done a very good job, but now we have to nail the last chicane. Lucas Blakely P2. Times are dropping very fast into the final chicane. Lock the rears a little bit. Snap of oversteer, which might cost us here the pole position. Over half it and lost up to the line, and we go pole. At least for now. Our teammate Danny Moreno invalidated his lap and is gonna start P10, I think so. Nicolas Longa is still on lap. Let's see what he can do. Up to the line, P3 for him, 400 behind us. Freddy Rasmussen then through the final chicane. He invalidated his first lap, so this might be pole for him now. We get pole by 100 of a second to Jake Benham. And GG's to Jake, because he's not an F1 Esports driver. He's still too young to be an F1 Esports driver. And he got P2 in this extremely strong field. Only other non-F1 Esports driver in the top 10 is Tomek Podatsis, who I think didn't get a valid lap in. So our teammate Danny Moreno, P9 with it 40.0, didn't get a good lap in Q3. And as you can see there on the weather forecast, we might make it on mediums to the rain, but it's going to dry up straight after that. So that's very interesting. And we might not have to use inters right here, because if it's only wet for 2 or 3 laps, then we might as well just go to soft, and we won't lose enough time until the end of the race for that. So going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen with the weather. I think no one knows what's going to happen. It's impossible to predict what we're going to have to do. Weather forecast is usually not very precise, so it's going to be interesting. First soft runner, Freddy Rasmussen in P5. Of course, in that final Q3 lap he had the pressure on as he invalidated his first Q3 lap, and that compromises your last run, of course, as you need to get a lap in to get somewhere on the grid. Now we skip through the formation lap as nothing happens in that anyway. We're just warming up the tires. Now let's get ready to race. We're starting ahead of probably a future F1 esports driver, and ahead of Nicolas Longuet, F1 esports driver for Alpine. A very good initial start, pretty equal, maybe a little bit better than Jake Benham. Into turn 1 we are clear of anyone on the inside. Jake still on the outside, into a Rouge. Is he gonna battle us? No, he ducks into our slipstream for a Rouge. And now it's all gonna be about slipstream up to Camel Straight. Is Jake close enough to battle us into Lecombe? You don't need to be leading the first lap or second lap to win this race, as Dirty Air is far less aggressive on the game than in real life. Into Lecombe we are safe. A little bit wide. Probably not really used to the low grip of mediums and the high fuel loads yet, as I think Shanika Clay has spun off in Lecombe section. So he is out for now as we skip on to the end of lap 1 into the bus stop chicane. And I go a bit wide, and you can see yellow flag in the bus stop, and there was a major crash in the bus stop chicane. As you can see, safety car deployed, Freddy Rasmussen out of the race. Suddenly Nicolas Longuet is gone from 4th position as well, or 3rd position.
Down to the bus stop chicane they go, but Otmere leads at the end of the first lap. Longuet is going to spin in the chicane. Round goes Longuet and collects Rasmussen, who dives into pit lane. And unfortunately, Cedric Tome, huge crash in the pit entry. There's multiple cars involved, and Tome gets done there. Moreno gets through as well. There's been absolute chaos at the pit entry here at Spa. Just like last year, the safety car is out.
Yes, this almost is.
So as you can see there, major crash involving around...
Is inbound, and we're expecting it in around 5 minutes. 5 minutes till the rain dries.
Involving 6 cars, I think so, that got damaged there. And as you can hear me ask Jeff, rain inbound in 5 to 10 minutes, so much earlier than expected. And as you might know, softer compound of tires is going to be a major advantage in wet conditions compared to the mediums. The delta is going to be much bigger, and that's why I'm going to be coming in for softs. But this is a huge risk, because if it doesn't rain, we're going to lose a lot of positions. We don't know exactly how much yet. Going into the pits, I'm pushing, of course. I don't want to get held in the pits. But going into the pits, I think it's Sebastian Job following us. No, it's actually Johnny Tormela who pits for the hard compound of tires, as you can see on the right. So he is going to try to go to the end, but the hards are going to be so slow under wet conditions. So if it does rain early, he's going to be in big trouble, because this hard compound of tires do not work in wet conditions. And coming out of the pits, we're P12. So if we want to make up all those positions before the next pit stop, which we need, actually we're now P11 as the safety car restart is almost happening, as Shanika Clay runs into the back of Alessio Di Capua, and somehow Alessio got a 5-second penalty for it.
5 seconds.
But now coming out of the bus stop, safety car restart, you can see Shanika Clay out of shape out of the bus stop chicane, and into turn 1 we have already gained 1 position just as we start lap 4 or out of 22. But now we have to make up positions fast, because as you look at the sky, it's completely clear. It might be a little bit cloudy, but it's not dark. So that shows to me it's not gonna rain in the 5 minutes Jeff told us. And it might take longer. It might be the original weather forecast that we saw at the start of the race. But we have to make up positions regardless if it's gonna rain fast or not. Alessio gets out of shape in the chicane, and I decide to go around the outside. He gives us just enough room to squeeze through. And good racing from Alessio there. GG to him. Just gave us enough space on the exit of that corner. And now we are up to P9.
Alessio is actually trying to overtake me again.
As Alessio is pushing to get closer again into the bus stop. But I used quite a bit of ERS to stay ahead into the bus stop. And now we're straight away gonna hand down Philip Reitschneider. Softs are not gonna work for very long, very good. And we have to use the advantage now. Into turn 1, we got the fast lap of the race with overtaking 2 cars. So once we get in clean air, we're gonna be gaining a lot of time, especially if the rain comes, but it's not there yet. So we have to be patient for the rain and just keep pushing. and overtake cars. Now Philip Rachinator up next. We're gonna get DRS now.
Dries seem like the best tyre for now.
Actually, I made a mistake there. We're not gonna get DRS, but we're gonna have a go at Philip Rachinator anyway. Jeff said rain can come any moment now, but how heavy is it gonna be? That's the question. No one knows at the moment. And now I've got to hand down both Fabrizio Donoso, Nicolas Longue, and Ruben Vallejo. One lap later, we are just behind Fabrizio now, and as you can hear me say, it's starting to rain very softly, but not really to have any effect on the tires yet, so we don't have that advantage yet, and our softs are wearing out as well, of course. Now, we have to make moves fast, because we're still only in P8, and we have no idea what's gonna happen. If it stays dry, we have to pit around lap 13-14, but we have used our only new set of softs already, which we're using right now. So we're not going to have any new set of softs again. Fabrizio Donoso decides to have a little look. Ruben Vallejo defends. And Fabrizio tries to go for the switchback. Doesn't quite get it. But then into turn 1. Fabrizio is going to go down the inside of Ruben. And we decide to have a little look as well. Trying to go for a little switchback to get better straight line speed up the hill here, which we're gonna need. Now let's hunt down Fabrizio Donoso up the hill, because we need to get past those cars and get in clean air to have the advantage of the soft compound tires. DRS open. I'm gonna be using a lot of ERS on this straight, but you can see Fabrizio is getting a little bit of DRS from Nicolas Longue into Le Comp. I decide to back out last moment as I didn't feel comfortable going down the inside there, and then we're gonna have a much better exit down this right-hander. Little look down the inside.
Oh my god, what a dickhead. He just goes for the apex when I'm next to him. Fucking moron.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
So as you can hear me say, I was not happy. Simply put it like that. Anyway, we did get up to P6. No damage done to either car, so that's good. And now we're going to have a go at Nicolas Longue, who's not going to get DRS down Camel straight. We are going to get DRS because we're only 110 behind. We're not going to use any ERS here because we simply do not need to. Nicolas does not have DRS. The rain is coming down a bit harder now, but it's not really what we want. We expected more rain to come down faster, and that would be a bigger advantage for the soft compound runners. And to the start of lap 9, we've caught up to Patrick Sipos, also Alpine F1 Esports driver. Gonna be his first season in F1 Esports this year, so good luck to him. But now back to the race.
Dries seem like the best tyre for now. Dries seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
So Jeff only telling me that dries are faster at the moment, which is quite obvious. We're still setting in green sector 1s. So that is good. Now we're gonna have a little move at Patrick. You can see we have much more grip on those softs as the rain starts coming down a little bit faster. Patrick does leave the space on the inside.
Leave space, you dickhead.
We have a little bit of a touch, but I do make up one position. Just gave us enough room to squeeze through on the inside.
More space than the nozzle. Well.
And we're up to P4. Now Domenico Lovecchia up next. Start of lap 10. And we are getting a much better exit off turn 1 than Domenico Lovecchia, who is, I'm quite sure, Ferrari F1 Esports driver this year.
Doing? Or is that not Tormala?
As Sebastian Job is pitting for Inters
in the pits.
Right now, as I think he was quite far behind anyway, so he decided to pit for the intermediates. And you can hear me say or ask my engineer Ben Goldie on what sector and lap times he is going to do in the next few laps. Up to P3 we go, and now we are almost back to our original position on the soft tires, and the rain is coming down faster and faster, so our advantage is gonna grow. Now onto the end of lap 11, I had a little look at Jake on the inside of, I think, Le Comp last lap, but I did not have enough straight line speed to get past, so we're gonna try it again on this lap. You can see pit stop strategy for a 2-stop just jumped up, but we are going to continue because it's not raining hard enough for intermediates yet, and we need to stay out. Now into Arouge, up radio. Looks like Jake is too far ahead again, but we do have 100% ERS coming out of turn 1, so we can close that gap with the help of ERS, but we're not close enough. Lucas having a little defend into Lecombe, and now through this section we're gonna have a lot more grip than the medium tire runners, and we're gonna be getting a much better exit off here. And you can see Jake went a little bit defensive, but too late, didn't use ERS to defend, and we're gonna go down the inside. Jake leaves just enough room for us, and up to P2 we go. So good racing there, and now Lucas Blakely is up next, with the rain coming down pretty fast. Lap 14 now, you can see track is getting pretty wet, and we have to downshift to 6th gear for Pool 1. Lucas almost spins around through Pool 1. We've pulled a 2-second gap to Jake Benham in those laps, as Jeff is advising me to go to intermediates, but I do not want to go to inters.
Tell me sectors ASAP.
Now, as Simon is gaining around 1 second per lap, just over 1 second per lap to the dry runners on, well, Simon is on the intermediates, he has to make up a pit stop distance, which means you have to gain well more than 1 second per lap if it's gonna dry up again. Into the bus stop chicane, you see Alessio Di Capo has crashed in the final sector, the start of the final sector.
Because of the safety car.
And now it's a very hectic safety car, because I have no idea what tires to go to. We have to make a quick decision. I have decided to go for softs here and hope it dries up. Now,
I'm gonna get held up massively, but
it's a full safety car, so if it stays out for 2 or 3 laps, it might dry up before the safety car comes in. Intermediates at this moment in time are clearly faster, as Lucas is on the hard compound of tires. The worst tire.
No, but I can't. I think it's gonna dry.
The worst tire to be on. Jake goes to softs as well. He later told me that he went softs because he saw my pit crew be ready with softs. Everyone else has gone to intermediates.
We're not certain which is the best tyre right now. Dries or inters?
Now it's gonna dry up, as you can hear say chaff, in 5 to 10 minutes.
10 more minutes of rain before it dries up. We're not certain which is the best tyre right now. Dries or inters?
5 or 10 minutes. What? This is so useless, man.
Now 5 or 10 minutes is a pretty big gap, because that's like a 5 lap difference, and 5 laps can be the difference between making it work on those slicks or not. So this is going to be very interesting. You can see me working the tires as aggressive as I can. The softs are going to be much easier to warm up than the hards, but even though I'm on softs, I'm still struggling warming them up. So imagine what Lucas is going through. He made a strategic mistake by going on hards, or maybe he just selected the wrong tire. I'm not sure what happened, but we are going to get an advantage from this. Jake has new soft tires, and we are unused, because we have already used that new set of tires. So Jake is in a prime position here to get the win, and has a small advantage over us. Now Lucas is waiting very long with the restart, almost to the finish line, and now we have a lot more temperature than Jake. You can see we straight away pulled a 6-10 gap into turn 1, which means we have a lot more temperature out of turn 1. Once again, we're gaining so much to Jake. You can see 9/10 gap, almost 1 second. I had to back off a little bit there, as Lucas went for a late defend, but now we're gonna have a go at Lucas. Lucas has to lift through a Radeon Radeon, as those hards are just not working in these wet conditions. Around the outside of Lucas Blakely into Lecombe, he's leaving us just enough space going into the braking zone. Around the outside, Lucas has no grip on the hards. We do have grip on those softs, and up to P1 we go, as we still have the fast lap of the race as well, because we went to the softs early on, of course. As you can see, no interrunner is faster than Jake at the moment. Jake had a very slow restart because he didn't have his tires ready yet, and now he is stuck behind Lucas on those hards. And this is the moment we have to push as hard as we can, because now we have the advantage over Lucas, and Jake on those new softs is stuck behind Lucas. So this is the moment we can pull as big of a gap as possible. You can already see gap to Lucas is well over 1 second, and it shows how well the softs are working in wet conditions. Through the next right and a bit of understeer. Grip is not there yet, but it will get better, and the intermediate runners you can see are dropping like a stone in the midfield. You can see Nicolas Matteo already up to P5, and soon is going to get Fabrizio De Noso as well. Those inters are not working and are already overheating, so as it's going to dry up more, those intermediate runners have to pit as soon as possible into the bus stop chicane. 1.6 second gap as Jake and Lucas go side by side, which means in one lap we've pulled over a 2-second gap to both Lucas and Jake, and now we have so much more space between me and Jake. Even though Jake has new tires, it's going to be very, very tough for him to catch up now. You can see all the intermediate runners have to come in again, and their race is basically over because they're not going to make up a pit stop distance in those 4 laps.
Expected. No rain expected for the time being. Dries seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
Now onto the final lap of the race. You can see Jake Benham has catched up 1 second to us, just over 1 second in those few laps, and it looks like we are gonna be safe in the final sector. Even though we do not have the ERS anymore, I used it all to stay out of the DRS from Jake. Lucas has dropped back to P3. Our teammate Danny Moreno, after that opening lap incident, up to P4, but unfortunately he has that 3-second penalty as going to the next right-hander. Jake has 3 seconds of penalties, so that confirms it. We are gonna win this race unless my wheel just suddenly disconnects in Blanchimol, but it doesn't. Into the final bus stop chicane for the final time this race, and Jake is gonna come home in P2. Absolute amazing performance for him.
GG's.
These U-softs were not great. So yeah, we took a lot of risk with the strategy today, but it paid off, luckily for us. Trying to get into Q3 on mediums and then pitting on the opening lap, or actually the end of lap 2, for softs was super tricky. In the end, if we didn't make that first pit stop, we might have been slightly faster, but that's the risk you take sometimes. I hoped it would have been a bigger advantage, but in the end, we won anyway. And we won by 1 second to Jake. We got a 3-second penalty afterwards as well. So another win on our name, and that's 16 podiums in a row in PSGL. So absolute amazing streak for us. Very good start of the season with a P1, P2 and P1. Hope you guys enjoyed the race. Our teammate Danny Moreno unfortunately dropped to P7, if I remember correctly, with that 3-second penalty. But well, after getting side pod damage, front wing damage on lap 2, he managed to recover pretty nicely and still bring home points for the team, extending our gap in the constructors as well. And I'm extending my gap in the Drivers' Championship. You can see Lucas Blakely P3, Simon Weigang P4 after poor qualifying, so GG to him. Tomek Podatsis P5, Philip Rach in the P6, who I think had damage when I overtook him, but I'm not sure about that. A lot of people had damage, I think so, in this race. Of course, that bus stop incident caused a lot of trouble. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and see you guys next time. Ciao.